I'm a huge soccer fan. Huge, huge. It's pretty sad.
Really annoying.
And there are times when I go to these games and I'm in the crowd where they do all of the chants, and I'm just so struck with this is people just trying to find meaning. This isn't this important, everyone, right? This.
I belong with you, right? I belong with you.
And there's something very good about being, especially when you have your national teams.
Yep.
I love it because it's everyone coming together. It doesn't matter what your politics are, although they make it political and it drives me nuts at times.
Yeah.
But it's truly people coming together, and the only thing we have in common is we're from this home. This is our home, and we love it. Yeah, and it's incredible, I love it. This idea that
that's why I love watching the World Cup. But I'm not interested in English leagues playing each other. Although I'm sure if I got into football enough, soccer enough, I would.
But what's very weird about it is you get a point where these things those leagues out in England and even the World Cup get so detached from what they actually are. Yeah. They cease to be these town clubs and they become global billions of dollars worth of brands.
Yeah, and looking at it from Alistair McIntyre, a great philosopher, he would say that's where there's internal goods to something and external goods. The external goods, fame, money, all that stuff, that's entertainment. That's where you look at the thing, it's like the town, the club, the sport, the local kid made good on the local team and all this stuff, and then it becomes an industry. It gets commoditized, globalized, capitalize, right? And then all these external goods affect how the thing is done rather than bettering those who are within it, right? And you see this with every single sporting event. NFL is $1 billion industry. If we stopped having epic hits and tackles in the NFL because men are getting concussions that are literally damaging their brains for the rest of their lives, there is a resistance to that in the NFL because it's but it makes it less exciting,
and
less viewers.
They used to sell DVDs and tapes of intense hits where it's just I was at a bar one time and I saw Junior's sale there, and so everyone doesn't know, he was a defensive lineman for a bunch of teams, specifically the Chargers, and I was in San Diego. And he was there.
San Diego.
San Diego always goes down smooth. And he was there, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's really great to see him." And then a year or two later, he killed himself. And I want to say his wife or something. That actually may not have happened. So I want to just say just himself. But and when it's the cost, what is the cost of this stuff? And I think as Catholics, we believe that the ends do not justify the means. So when you look at global soccer, take a guy like Ronaldo, who there's this, I don't know if it's good, but I've heard there's this one documentary about him that just came out, and it had his mom on there, and he talks about how he was taken out of her home at the age of 10, and she basically lost her son. Now, he's worth hundreds of millions, and they get all these things, but at the age of 10...
Is she complaining about this?
Yeah.
Because presumably she okayed it.
Yeah, but she's this was the cost of this. Yeah. So how it works is these young kids, this happened with Messi out in Argentina. This team out in Spain saw him there, brought him over there at the age of 10. And there's something very Spartan-esque about that, where these kids are now they're not forced from their homes, but it's hey, are you going to go to work for Real Madrid? I'm trying to remember. I think that Ronaldo was a team from his own country, but still they're removed from the home. This doesn't happen everywhere, but especially out in England, because the teams are so localized and it's so small. But again, let's just take the Messi example. 10 years old, Argentinian kid, moved out to Barcelona to the point where he almost didn't play for the Argentinian national team. He was offered to play for Spain, and this is a huge deal out there. Yeah. This is massive. This is as big as this is why you play to be on these teams. And people out in Argentina actually call him the Catalonian because they're kind of angry that he's never won a World Cup. But this idea of is this I support a sport. I'm obsessed, quite honestly, with a sport that this is what you have to do to be the absolute best at this.
Yeah.
Somebody would look at that and say, well, this guy's had a real blessed existence. Presumably at the age of 10, he was able to develop particular virtues that a lot of people won't ever get to develop.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fame and the money. So what's the evil in it? Is the evil solely that he got taken out of his home, or is it the idea that it feels like kids are being manufactured to be specific?
I think there's that, and I think also the fact that these virtues, like, and you guys probably will be able to talk about this a little bit more than I can, but like all these virtues are supposed to be at the service of what? I mean, they are good in and of themselves. They help us do good and grow closer to God. But what's the point of developing quote unquote like virtue if all it does is make you obsessed and really good with this one? Like all these guys who are the best of the best, we would not like them. They're terrible people to be around. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, all these different individuals were notoriously terrible teammates.
Oh, really?
They're just so obsessed with so like they take these things, they take this insane amount of like discipline that they have, and they apply it to a thing that is really kind of detached from any sort of real good.
Yeah, and you look at it from the perspective of I was a youth minister for 10 years, and you saw this definite shift that in the 50s and 60s you had this thing called adolescence, high school culture, all this stuff. And you were trying to help them become adults. So you had things that were formed by American society to help adolescents transition into good adults. And one of those was the rise of youth ministry. In the 60s and 70s, you have youth sports widespread. You had the foundation of the Little League and all of these things. And the whole thing was community, camaraderie, teamwork, skills, self-discipline, all the things you need as an adult just to be an adult in the world. You can get through playing team sports and doing all this stuff. But what ended up happening is what happens to everything in America. All of a sudden, fame is attached to a particular coach, right? All of a sudden, that coach who's teaching Pee Wee, Little League, baseball is moving up. Now he has a full-time job as a high school coach. I was in Texas where they had, in one district, they had to raise the salary of the superintendent so that they could pay that person $1,000 more than the high school football coach. And you think about the obsession around that.
Texas.
But you have all of this, and you realize what happened probably in the mid to late 80s is you have these institutions that served kids on behalf of adults to help kids become adults. Then it did this. And the kids served the careers of the adults. You have that in youth ministry. You have that in youth sports. You have that across the board, and now you're at this where $1 billion career is started for a 6-year-old, right? You have parents who are putting their kids in tackle football at the in 4th and 5th grade so that they can become high school football players and start on the varsity team so that they can be picked up by a college so that eventually they'll get that NFL contract. And you have these things happening in all these sports that now it is no longer about camaraderie, teamwork. It is about cash money. It is about getting, all of these accolades and fame. It is about other people's adult ambitions for your life that are imposed upon you. And I think that is a very dangerous thing. And I started seeing this and every youth minister knows this, right? You do confirmation in high school. Half the kids say, well, I'm not going to go to that because I have sports ball, right? And you got these sports. Well, I can't go on the retreat because I have a game, a tournament, or this or that. And the parents are fine driving hundreds of miles to take their kids in, but they can't bring them to mass on Sunday and class on a Wednesday or something like that, And this is systemic, right? We invest. This is our life. And eternity is so long, and we invest everything.
And it's tough too because if you really got going back to your point of but if he gets all this stuff out of that, isn't it good? It's like, well, what stuff does he really get?
Yep.
He gets to have a life where he's detached from reality because he can't. I mean, if you look at Messi, he cannot go. There is a gold cast of his foot was sold in China for millions of dollars. Like this is now he is the exception to but. Like that's what I mean. We've got that. There's a kid right now on the American team, Christian Pulisic, who when he started at 17, he was like so good. I was at the game where he played his first game, and he was a 17-year-old, and I was freaking out. Here he is, the kid who's gonna be. This kid was sold for $70 million recently to go to a team out in England. The rights to have him. And there's never been an American 70 million. Now that is low compared to certain. Well,
really?
So the highest one was 200 million. This was on the. This was like Neymar to go
I'm in
to
the wrong
PSG.
business.
No, exactly.
You ever seen that Key and Peele sketch where it's like ESPN but for school teachers? Sally was traded for $2.4 million based on her reading skills.
Exactly, because I like Europe and they don't like trade. Oh, they don't trade players. You buy the rights to them, and so.
Like how Orwellian is that?
Yeah, and so, but in this, and I was used to think I kind of had the thought of like this kid like should be going to prom. He should be hanging out with all of his buddies, not having a bunch of drunk 30-year-old men cheering him on a field
and booing him when he makes a mistake.
Oh no, he's way too precious for us to do that yet. But there was this thing where ESPN when he started getting very good. He was still high school age. Had a thing where you could just watch him the whole game on a stream. They had a camera just on him, and at that point in time, everyone was like, "Okay, this is a bit much. He's a kid.
He's in the locker room.
He's a kid." You know, and let's not. This isn't fair to put all this onto a kid, and that's where I get a little bit uncomfortable with all, because again, it's not on the level of Messi, but the fact that the cost is he doesn't have a normal life. I mean, he will forever not have a normal life. And
wouldn't you support a ban, a federal regulation saying if you're in high school you can't play a professional sport, if you're in college you can't? I want that. I think it has to be maintained because
as
the
a
money.
US soccer fan, and I say no.
But the money is so real. Wasn't it Kevin Garnett that was pulled right out instead of going into college? He went right into the NBA. I mean, you have all of these things where you're robbing people for the sake of I gotta get them. And what if they get injured their first year out because they're so young? Their whole career's gone.
How many? Well, and this is tough too. When you get to the NFL and college football, the fact that we have college football, these are supposed to be guys who are in school, guys and gals. I mean, but when you get to that high of a level where these people make, I mean, there's $1 billion. I think the contract for all of the bowl games was $2 billion. And it's off the back of these kids, to be blunt, who
African American kids who are not paid.
Yeah, who are and they get a free education. But look at the demand on if you're at this high of a level, the demand on your time is insane.
Yeah, you're doing.
And if you get injured, what happens to you then? Then their whole lives are spent.
Dropped.
And these are kids, so you can't blame them. I'm not gonna blame a kid who didn't really try in high school because he didn't have to. When everyone caters to you because you're a good athlete, and then you get injured, what are you going to do? You've never had to work for anything in your life, and it's not fair to them. It's
other than this one skill, which now is taken from.
And this is why you can also make the argument that the NFL you should be able to go from high school to that, but that's a whole other thing. So I think if we don't have these conversations, I think the barbaric thing ultimately is to just keep on doing this stuff and not ask, what is this doing to us? What is it doing to us? What is this doing to these kids here? I mean, I remember when I heard about Ronaldo, because I know a guy who used to run all of his social media stuff. He worked for the company. He was just I feel bad for him. His life, I don't envy any. It's truly the Midas touch. What that does to a person.
Yeah, the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
Yo, thanks for watching. You can watch the entire episode on YouTube if you want. You can listen to it at The Matt Fradd Show by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And feel free to support me, patreon.com/MattFradd.